Okay, we'll look at some strings now. You've just looked at some integer variables and single variables. Getting the user input. So very similar thing here, getting some user input, but instead of getting integers, we're getting some strings. Here, I've got two variables, one called first name, one called surname, both storing strings. And then I'm displaying some text, a string, to the screen. Please enter your first name. And then I'm getting it. Now you'll notice that this is exactly the same as the integer before. I still use console.readline. It doesn't matter that it's a string. I don't need to do anything different. If I want to get something from the user, I'm always going to use console.readline. So I can get that. So get whatever the user types in and store it into first name. Hopefully we've got a sensible, intelligent user who is going to follow the instructions carefully and type in a first name. So we'll store the first name. Then I say please enter your surname, and we get the user input from the keyboard and store it in surname. Now not a lot's going to happen. If I run it, I'll type in my name and that's it. I'm not doing anything, but that's as it looks at the moment. What I now want to do is to display the surname. So one way of doing that is, as we've done, and to say first name, surname. So this is very similar to what we've just done. I've got a placeholder for a variable value, a space. It's important to have a space, otherwise it won't have a space between my name, and then a second placeholder. So the value of first name will go in here, value of surname will go in there. If I run it now, it should just display back to me my surname, and it does, with a space between them. It's important to have that space. If you're not sure why, get rid of it and see what happens. So there's one way of doing that. What I could do is, well, let's have a new variable called full name and have it as a string. Let's see if we can do what we did before. Now so full name gets a value of, let's have first name plus surname and see what happens. And I'm going to just display, I'll just display full name. So I've said full name gets a value of first name plus surname, and then I'm writing out full name. See what happens. So this first one is the first one I did, this console. So Andy space Cocalis is this one. I've got my space in between. The second one is this one. So I've said full name is first name plus surname. Well, there's no space. I suppose that makes sense because I've just said first name, which is Andy, plus surname, which is Cocalis, so there's no space in there, so it's not displaying a space. The computer's doing exactly what I've told it to do. So what I could do is this. Full name gets a value of first name plus a space plus my surname. Now I'm just going to comment this one out because I know that works. I don't want to see it. So it'll only come up with one value now. One full name, Andy Cocalis, and you see it comes up with a space now. That's because full name gets a value of whatever the first name is, in this case Andy, then a space, then my surname. So it displays more sensibly. Great. So that works. I can also do this. Now in this case, instead of using the plus, I've replaced it with an ampersand. Let's see what happens. I know that one works, so I'll comment it out. So I'm seeing the result of this being printed out. Let's see what it does. And oh, silly me. Full name. Did you spot that mistake? Full name. I only had surname there. That's why it didn't work. Let's try it again. There we go. Phew. It works. Same thing. This time full name it gets a value of first name, the and, space, and surname. Now, in VB, both of these will work. The plus or the ampersand. The plus really though should only be used for maths, for arithmetic, so for numbers. Although it works, you should be using the ampersand. The ampersand is a special character which means concatenation. Concatenation. I've got caps lock on by mistake. It's concatenation. Concatenation means putting two strings together, two or more strings together. So this is the proper operator, the proper thing to be using. So although the plus works, and that's fine, you should really be using the ampersand. There are a few cases where the plus won't work and it will come back as an error. So you need to, it's better to think about the ampersand. So here I've got full name equals first name. Now just to show you, you can also, just as you did before, you could say your full name is, and use the placeholder, and here I could do the same thing, first name ampersand space ampersand surname bracket. So here what's happening is your full name is creating a space, and what will go in the space is the answer to this. So first name concatenated with a space concatenated with your surname. So again, let me comment out the one that I know is working, and we'll see if this one is working. Andy Kokalis. Your full name is Andy Kokalis. It works. Let me just make it a bit smaller. There we go, and then you can see the answer and the line of code that's doing it. So that stage, very simply, getting some string input. So we've looked at getting integer input. We've now looked at string input. Same if you're doing single or even Boolean. And then you can also do some very simple, or we've looked at some very simple operations. So in this case, concatenation. Using the plus or the ampersand. The ampersand is the better one, and that's the one you should be using. So using the ampersand to concatenate a string. So put strings together. Okay, there you go. Have a bit of a play around with that. See what you can do.